I'll forget it. I already forgot it.
Yeah,
So,
I already did too. So we're in a great spot. Hey everybody, welcome back to ADHD land.
This is slightly why we're good at doing this.
Yeah.
Who needs structure?
Yeah.
Structure be darned. All right, so let's kick this thing off.
Hey, bud, can I ask you a question?
Always.
All right, so if you were a breakfast item, what breakfast item would you be, and
Didn't
why?
we already do this one?
Did we?
Because I said sausage gravy and biscuits.
You did. Why was I thinking we didn't do this? I even had it highlighted. Oh my gosh, I hate myself.
Leave that in. Leave it in.
Gosh, I hate it here. Okay, so anyways, I got a different question to ask you now.
Do it. Yes.
Hey, man, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, would you rather be stranded in space or at sea?
Oh, see, okay. Honestly, that's a tough question.
It's a difficult one, in my opinion.
So, are we talking like desert island, or like
no,
like you're adrift in the ocean?
You're adrift in the ocean. Space, really? See, here's my only hang up with it is when I consider this question, I think about the fact that I know very little about space. Like, all I know is what we've seen in movies, which I don't know that any of it is accurate, right? Like, so it's like, dude, the airlock and the way that people get, like, you know, how long can you survive outside of the protection of a ship or a spacesuit, all that kind of stuff. I have a lot of questions about space. I feel pretty confident about my knowledge, at least of the like surviving on the ocean.
What we know about the ocean.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, as far as, like, okay, let's just say hypothetically that you're on a raft, you've got, you know, limited supplies. Like, let's say it's the ship goes down, the airplane goes down, whatever. You got one of those survival rafts. It's got the little tent on it, and you've got the little packet of, like, the survival kit that comes in there.
Right.
I'm at least confident enough that with those things, I could make it days, if not like maybe a week, a couple weeks, something like that. In space, I have none of that confidence.
But see, here's the thing. Two things, actually. We know less about the ocean than we do space.
I don't know that that's accurate. We have explored less of the ocean as far as visually.
Right.
But we know a lot about the ocean.
But you know what's in space? Nothing. You know what's in the ocean? A lot of things that can eat you.
Yeah, you know what else is not? What else is included in that nothing in space? Oxygen.
Okay, so you're opting
the most basic thing that we have to live.
So you're opting for a slow, painful death as opposed to hey, I'm done, and just pull the plug and then you're done.
I'm looking at it from the perspective of I want to live. Like, not only is it you get to outer space, you have there's no oxygen, there's no water that you can feasibly use, nothing to eat. But then on top of the lack of all the things that you need to be able to live is the fact that if you're in outer space, it is exponentially harder for somebody to come rescue you.
True.
Like, they don't just put a mission together in like 2 days and send them up to come get you. It's like we saw with those astronauts that got trapped on the International Space Station. It's a month's thing.
Well, like, here's my other thing though too. I would say the same thing about being lost in the ocean. Do you know how big the ocean is?
I understand, but I still think that your chances of them being able to get to you and rescue you in the ocean are exponentially higher than what they are in outer space. I
guess you boys just played Subnautica way too much. I'm just like, no.
That's fair too.
No, forget that noise.
That's very funny. No, I think I'm going ocean personally, just because like I said, I've watched enough of those survival shows and stuff. I think I could, like, filter my urine to make it drinkable and do all the things that I need to do to be able to.
I mean, but you're also talking about if you get like a survival kit, you're not getting a whole lot.
No, but if I have enough, like, supplies in there, right? If you can make one of the deals where you can evaporate the water and let the pure water run out of it and stuff, there's just ways that you can make some things happen on the ocean to get the things you need to survive.
Right. I mean, well, it's like, you know, I would rather be stranded on a desert island than a space station.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I mean,
that's an easy choice to me, but like, if it's a matter of you're in, like, let's just say you went to outer space in a shuttle of some kind. You get to outer space and the shuttle loses all power. So none of the life support stuff on the shuttle is now functioning anymore. You're just dead in space, right?
Right.
To me, I'd rather be on the raft in the ocean than in the shuttle in space. That's just my personal preference. I get that you like the option of just the quickness of being able to end things, but yeah, not me.
Okay.
I'm a survivor.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. So I have a would you rather question to kind of follow that up. See, there was a couple that I was like, oh, I should ask that. And then we posed this one and I was like, too soon.
Right.
All right. Would you rather lose all of your old memories or never be able to make new ones?
This is like super simple for me because I've already lost all my old memories. Man, not be able to form new ones or have the old memories. That's a genuinely tough question.
A knee-jerk reaction, like, oh, this is an easy question, but like when you sit there and think about it, like,
yeah,
I'm kind of like with you. I mean, I played football, unfortunately, before they knew what concussions were. So like my memory is always a little fuzzy. And I've told you, like, when you remember things, you're remembering the last time that you're remembering them. So it's like you're picking up from the last save point.
Yeah, for me, I think it's like I just have a really hard time when I try to think back on old memories. My brain has a really hard time bringing them back to the forefront. Like, I really have to dig and try to put myself back in the situation and back, like remember what things looked like and stuff. It's super hard for me to bring back old memories. There's some that are, like core ones that are easy to recall, but
see, the curse for me is like having ADHD. I have object permanence so badly because I can't, if I don't think about something, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So like trying to bring up old memories and like things like it's hard for me to do.
Yep, I get that.
And it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, like somebody will be talking about something and I'll be like, I don't remember that at all. Like stuff that like happened in high school or like trips that we went on.
It happens to me all the time. Even with Brooke, she'll like bring up like people from college and stuff like that. She's like, yeah, you remember so and so. I'm like, nah.
But it's one of those things, like I do remember some like core memories, like something random will pop into my head.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was never able to form new memories and keep all of my old memories, I'd be okay because if you think about it, you'd be meeting new people every day.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially that's, you can go into the whole, like, that's kind of what Alzheimer's debate is, things like that.
Right.
But like if you had all your cognitive functions and everything like that, I mean, every day would be a new adventure.
You're a 51st dates every single day type of thing.
But then my thing, like, where does that stop though?
Yeah. Like what's the definition of a new memory in a sense, and what's the definition of an old? Yeah, like how far back do you go, and how far?
All I have to say is my Google Docs would be completely full of just notes.
Yeah,
because if I can't remember,
like,
not even remembering, just kind of for reference and stuff like that.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I think that I would want to. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think I'd want to hold on to my old memories if I could, and mainly because it's just like you think about, like, both of us have kids,
right? Yeah,
and so you've got all the memories of when they were children, like little babies and stuff like that, and like growing up with your parents and my grandparents. There's more people from my past that are gone now that I think that I would rather be able to remember than necessarily just trying to remember the new stuff that comes along. So I think I'm with you. Which I take meticulous notes about the future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but like I've been taking a lot more notes again, and I don't know if it's a direct correlation from doing the podcast of writing things down. Like, oh, I can't remember, or I can't forget to talk about this, or I want to do research on this or whatever. But like I have been taking a lot more notes, and as of this airing, it'll be the previous Wednesday will be my birthday. So so it's like, okay, does it stop at 39? Like, is it, and then from here on out is I can't make any new memories. So, which, I mean, it's kind of hard because, my kids are so young. What?
39 years old. You're just a baby.
Hush, you're not that much older than me.
42, man. I'm approaching my mid-40s.
I mean,
which hurts every time I say it.
Let's face it. We're in our middle age. We're about halfway there.
Oh, Oh, gosh. The midlife crisis has been hitting me like a ton of bricks lately. So I haven't bought anything yet. I'm just gonna say that I'm still rocking the same motorcycle I've had for a while. So
right.
All right, you ready to fire this thing off?
Yep, let's do this. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
Recognize me? No? Well, I'm Josh.
I got suspended from school because of Josh.
You're going to be there with me in every way imaginable, Josh.
Josh is truly in a trance, yeah.
I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, these are people's jobs we're talking about, Josh.
Josh walking in the door wasn't even close.
Josh, you are a muffin-snuggling pirate puncher.
Josh, it's a good guy. We can talk to him.
Please welcome Joshua.
So I've asked you this before as far as how much you knew about this, but
Right.
How much do you know about the Boston Molassacre?
So, when you said this, I thought I knew what it was, but I started explaining it to you, and you're like, kinda. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, am I like, am I having like a Mandela thing where it's like a bunch of different
Right, different stories and
amalgamations
stuff,
coming
yeah,
together?
yeah.
So, no, tell me about the Boston Molassacre.
All right, so let me set the scene, right? Because I like to tell these as stories, and so let me just tell it as a story. The year is 1919.
Okay, so just a
America-
few years ago.
Yeah, just a few years ago. America is on the cusp of the Roaring Twenties, right? So if you know anything about the Roaring Twenties, it's a period of big change and kind of prosperity in a lot of different areas of life in America, right? You got a really confused look on your face.
So I was gonna make the joke. That was only like that was over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
106 years ago.
Okay, that's wild. Sorry, that was
I totally agree. Like every time I think about stuff like that, because
like when somebody says 20 years ago, you don't think of the early 2000s. You think of
Yeah.
like the 80s.
yeah.
I hate it here.
Like I said a while ago, we're getting old.
We're getting old.
So, anyways, it's 1919. We're on the cusp of the 20s. Everything's kind of going in the right direction for America and stuff. The day that we find ourselves in is a Wednesday, as it always is.
It's always a Wednesday.
It's always a Wednesday.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. It's a Wednesday. So it's Wednesday, January the 15th.
Okay.
It is an unusually mild winter day in Boston, Massachusetts.
Global warming.
The temperatures are just over 40 degrees, right?
So that is, but it's
yeah,
fairly warm. Especially you said this is Boston.
right, Boston, Massachusetts. So that's a mild winter for
That's
them.
abnormally warm, I would say. For
So the morning of January 15th, the city is bustling as much as Boston bustles in January. On Commercial Street in Boston's North End, there stands
it's called Commercial Street.
Yeah, it's Commercial Street.
All right, that's cool.
So in Commercial Street in Boston's North End, there's a 50-foot tall steel holding tank.
Okay.
Now, this tank was constructed 4 years earlier in 1915 as World War I was driving the demands for alcohol production.
For fuel or just because people were depressed and wanted a little boozy?
I believe this was very much just for the sake of keeping soldiers drunk and that kind of stuff. So,
Okay, fair enough.
So alcohol production was ramping up during World War I. So places that were producing alcohol obviously needed places to be able to store large amounts of alcohol and its byproducts, right?
Makes sense.
So the tank that we're talking about, this 50-foot steel tank, was built out of riveted steel plates.
Okay, so not welded together, just riveted together. Okay.
So they're all just kind of like buckled together with these rivets. The issue was that because of the demand and the busyness of World War I, the construction of this tank was kind of rushed, and it was assembled really haphazardly.
What?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, materials and stuff weren't dedicated to, I don't know, the war machine.
Correct. And on top of all that, right, OSHA doesn't exist at this point in time, so there's nobody standing there going like, you're not doing that right.
Oh, OSHA.
So around noon on January the 15th, 1919, 8-year-old Antonio and his sister Maria and another boy named Pascal were gathering. Pedro? Yeah, Pedro. They were gathering firewood for their families down below this 50-foot tank.
Oh, no.
At the same time, there was a bartender named Martin who was sleeping upstairs in his house that overlooked the tank, so he could see it out of his bedroom window. And the tank began to creak and rumble, began to make some noises. At 12:40 p.m., the tank broke loose with a metallic roar. Before anybody could register what had happened, the giant metal tank ripped open and released, listen to this, 2.3 million gallons of molasses onto the streets of Boston.
Okay. So, how big was this tank?
It's massive. So it's 50 foot tall.
Okay.
So you start thinking like dimensions wise. If it's 50 foot tall, that's
Does it give a diameter or
50 feet is 5 stories.
Right.
So it's 20 foot taller than my house.
Right.
I did not get like a diameter dimension of it, so I don't know how big around it was. But I mean, you think of a storage tank though. This is essentially a silo.
Right.
It's massive.
All right. Hey, somebody who's good at math, do the calculations.
Yeah.
Solve for X, please. Okay. So,
Needless to say, though, it holds 2.3 million gallons at least.
right. So there's your volume. You have the height. Find the diameter.
Somebody tell us how big this is.
So it's 40-ish degrees out. Had it been like warm up until that point?
It's about 43 degrees at that point in time.
Okay.
According to everything that I read. So yeah, it was unseasonably warm.
Okay. So it's going to be a little bit, the viscosity is going to be a little bit lighter than normal.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not as familiar with molasses as like honey or syrup.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what kind of viscosity we're talking about as far as like
So
typical
molasses, at least in my typical interactions with molasses, which granted it's usually at 60 something degrees,
Right,
like 68
like room
degrees
temperature.
in our house. But I buy molasses to use in the barbecue sauces
Right.
that I make and stuff like
Amazing.
that. So that when I pour it out of the jar, it actually pours. But I would say at least the times that I've used it, it's maybe a tiny bit looser than honey, but definitely thicker than syrup and stuff
Okay,
like that.
so I guess depending on the extent of the explosion,
sure.
you have a little bit of time.
No.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to get to that in just a second as far as why you wouldn't really get a lot of time. As it turns out, the giant tank had been used for storing molasses, which was a byproduct of alcohol, right? So this is the United States Industrial Alcohol is the name of the company that is producing the alcohol. And they've been storing the molasses there because it's a byproduct of refining the sugar that they needed to make alcohol, right? So sugar, alcohol, you refine the sugar down, it produces molasses as a byproduct of it. And so they're storing all of it in this thing to the tune of 2.3 million gallons of it. When the 2.3 million gallons were released, here's where it kind of starts to answer your question of what is this stuff moving like, right? They formed a 15-foot high wave that traveled 35 miles an hour down Commercial Street and took out anything in its path. And I mean anything. So I've got a lot of details about what happened in the backside of this.
Go on.
It snapped the steel supports of the elevated train platform that was nearby.
Whoa.
Yeah, so kind of putting this in perspective, right? Because we'll find out a little bit more about what happened with the molasses and stuff to a degree after this. But molasses, because of its viscosity, when it starts traveling at 35 miles an hour, it's not like water, right? It doesn't just flow around.
It doesn't
things.
disperse. It kind of stays in the same.
It's kind of that deal where like with water, if you jump off of something that's high enough and you land flat on water, it's like landing on a brick wall because of that initial surface tension of it. Now you take that to the nth degree. That's what molasses is like as it's traveling and hitting things. It's basically like a sledgehammer in a sense.
But like a giant steamroller.
This giant steamroller coming at you. So snaps the steel supports of the elevated train platform. The neighborhood fire station was knocked off of its foundation and eventually collapsed in on itself.
What?
Yeah. Like this is how crazy this wave of molasses is. Of the 3 children that we mentioned a while ago, remember they were below the tank. Only Antonio would survive, although he suffered a severe head injury that scarred him for the rest of his life from this.
I mean, wouldn't you be scarred for life if you saw a giant 15-foot wave of molasses chasing you?
I could only imagine.
I wonder if this is where they got the inspiration for The Blob.
Maybe so.
Because like that was the first thing that popped into my head was The Blob.
So Martin, our bartender, had just woken up in time to watch his house crumble around him and then be swept into the wave of molasses himself. He was quoted. He survived. He was quoted as saying, "I was in bed on the 3rd floor of my house when I heard a deep rumble. When I awoke, I was in several feet of molasses." He was upstairs in his house. He was in several feet of molasses. So Martin nearly drowned before climbing on top of his floating bed frame, and he used it like a boat.
Okay, so then that brings me to my next question of the buoyant, like,
What
the
floats?
density.
Right. I
there
thought
we
the
go.
same thing because I was like, okay, but I'm also thinking like maybe his bed frame was acting more like a surfboard,
Right, where
than,
it's just
where it's being propelled by this wave of molasses more so than floating. But then it says that he was floating on it, and he actually used it as a boat to rescue his sister Teresa, who was also in their house when this happened. It says, unfortunately, he lost his mother and his brother to the flood, though. They died because they were downstairs in the house. So far, we know of at least 4 lives that were lost. I think I got total numbers down here in just a minute. Martin nearly drowns, right? He saves his sister Teresa, but loses his mother and his brother. When the waves subsided, right? When this is all said and done to a degree.
It's a finite amount of liquid.
Right, it has to stop at some point in time. So when it subsided, it left behind a half-mile wide area of crushed buildings, deceased people, and waist-deep muck. Like, so you're talking like almost 3 foot deep of molasses mixed with everything that it's now moved and shaken.
Jeez.
That's left in downtown Boston. So this is like, they talked about the efforts to clean this stuff up was like a citywide effort for weeks.
Dang.
Just to get rid of all the molasses and stuff.
You lose your fire department right downtown.
Yeah.
Because you said it shifted and crumbled.
It shifted it off of its foundation, and then the building fell in on itself.
Dude.
Hundreds of rescue workers arrived within minutes, right? Because like they're coming from all around the city of Boston, but made very slow progress, as you can imagine, due to the molasses that was beginning to act like quicksand as it hardened in the cool air. So now you've got this molasses that is solidifying in a lot of ways around the thing, and these guys are trying to walk through it to rescue people.
So obviously this isn't where the phrase "slow as molasses" came from.
Right, yeah.
Because
probably should be, though. Like, they should change it in whatever history books that was written in. They need to revise it. Like, Wikipedia needs to be like, this phrase should originate from...
we could just edit that in because, Wikipedia is open source.
Yeah. No, what? Wikipedia is like a totally reliable source for everything.
Oh.
When it's all said and done, 21 people lost their lives to this Molassacre, and 150 people were injured in the midst of it. This begs the questions of like, okay, so what are some of the reasons in a sense for this? Number one, the tank was filled to capacity. So we know that it's like approximately at least like a 2.3 million gallon tank. Mm-hmm. And the steel plates have begun to expand outward under the pressure of the liquid. So this is kind of like it's bulging, but there's also the hypothesis that because of the process that it takes to make the molasses, there may have been some heat in the process that was causing gases and things along those lines to stir in the molasses as well. But the tank is swelling as it's being filled.
Which, I mean, metal does expand and contract.
Yeah.
And, like, especially if it's not welded, it's riveted, like you said. So was this specifically designed for molasses?
No.
Okay.
Originally, the tank was designed to hold alcohol.
So an actual liquid.
Which is mind-boggling when you think about 2.3 million gallons of alcohol. Either way,
freshman year of college. But
it's either way, it's crazy. The expansion and the cracking part of it, the molasses inside of the tank was stored at unusually high temperatures in the summertime, which could have increased the pressure in the tank before they got to winter, right? So like they think that this is an issue that started months before,
right,
and just came to a head in January, and it may have been the cause that for the steel to expand and crack, weakening all the structural integrity until it eventually just gave on January 15th of 1919.
Dang.
And the temperature sensitivity thing, they said that the tank was poorly insulated and the molasses inside fermented, like I was talking about that process of kind of producing gases and stuff, which further increased the internal pressure on it and stuff. the United States Industrial Alcohol Company, which was the one that I mentioned,
Right.
they were
Owned.
producing this
Yeah.
stuff, was sued.
No.
Yeah. And eventually had to pay out millions to the people of Boston and close its doors for good.
I was going to say like millions in 1919 dollars.
Yes.
So-
yeah.
So billions.
Billions probably
today.
in our dollars. Yeah. That is the story of the Boston
That's
Molassacre.
crazy. Like
21 people dead, 150 people injured, a whole firehouse
just gone.
collapsed and gone. Steel girders for railroad trusses broken. I mean, just the insanity of 2.3 million
Right.
gallons of molasses at a 15-foot high wave at 35 miles an hour.
Well, I think that it just kind of goes back to show you, like, you know, referencing the Cuyahoga River episode.
Yeah, about the burning. Yeah.
It's like the industrial oversight just wasn't there yet. I believe I said in that episode, the pollution and everything was considered a badge of honor because you were producing, you were industrializing,
Yeah.
or things like that. It's just, I mean, it's no wonder that like everybody right now is talking about defunding government and getting rid of agencies and stuff. And it's like, there's situations like this where it actually makes sense. Like,
Right.
do I think that like some government agencies overspend and do that? Absolutely.
It's undeniable, but at the
that's-
same time,
but
they
there
also
are-
serve purposes.
Yes, there are
Yeah.
reasons for
Right.
things. Like, we have rules.
Yeah. There are rules. Yeah.
But, you know, it's one of those things where it's wild, and it's, I mean, granted it was 100 years ago, but like in relative history, that's a small snippet of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, you know, from the fact that like, you know, by the time we just had cars to when we were on the moon, like it was a really short amount
Right.
of time.
Well, and you consider too that this is happening in downtown Boston,
Right.
which at that point in time was one of the more kind of built-up cities. Like,
Right,
so you
because
got New York,
it's-
Boston. There's a handful of
Yeah,
places
because
that
you're
were really
right on a coastal waterway. Like you're an industrial shipping hub.
right.
Like that's devastating, not only just for the people there, but the commerce coming in and out of
Yeah.
Boston. Because I'm sure it had to have gone maybe into the waterway or disrupted transportation of goods and stuff like that
Yeah.
too. Because taking out a rail bridge, like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that was the major way of transportation in the early 1900s.
And I don't remember where it was that I heard it. I don't know if it was things I learned last night or if I was listening to like another podcast or whatever. But I was listening to some guys talk about this. And they were like hypothesizing on like how do you even begin to clean up that much molasses, right?
Right.
So they're like, if you're trying to basically wash it all out, like if they're bringing in fire hoses, and
Where
you're
does
just
it go?
pumping water and stuff like that, yeah, it has to go into the rivers and stuff. And so if you're washing all of that molasses into the rivers, what's the effects on
Right.
fish and
Right.
and marine life and all that kind of stuff at the same time? And so, yeah, I mean, the impact of this thing beyond just
Right.
171 people that were either injured or killed.
Right.
You think about the impact that it had on society around Boston, the rivers in the area, you know, everything. Like,
Right.
what did it do to it and stuff? It's a wild ride. I mean, to leave a half-mile wide swath of devastation from, like, again, my mind just goes back to 15-foot high wave moving at 35 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
That to me it's terrifying is what it is.
It legitimately is.
Anyways, that is the story of the Boston Molassacre, and I think this is a good time for us to take a break.
For our sponsor.
Yeah, and tell you something a little bit cheerier about our sponsor.
Yeah.
This week, we're going to tell you again about our sponsor, the Salt Collective. So they exist to be able to come alongside small businesses and nonprofits and help them to just do business better. And so as they do that, one of the cool things that the Salt Collective does is they take the businesses that partner with them by hiring them on, and they partner them with the nonprofit organizations that they work with, so that what is paid from the businesses goes to support the nonprofits through the Salt Collective, so they get to do more work for nonprofits as more businesses hire them on. So we love seeing that partnership. We love seeing what they're doing. They work with several of the nonprofits here in our area. They work with several small businesses and friends of ours, and they have done tremendous work to be able to help grow their social media presence, to help them with marketing, and we believe that they could help you as well. So if you're a small business owner, or if you know a small business owner that's looking for some help in marketing, and especially in the world of Facebook and Instagram, all those online places that you can exist, If you know somebody in a small business that would like to hire them on for that purpose, or if you are someone that works with a nonprofit organization, we would encourage you to check out remainsalty.com, or you can go to their Facebook page by searching for The Salt Collective. You can also check them out on Instagram as well. And that we know that if you go check out their website, go check out their social media pages, you'll see The Salt Collective is a great organization doing great things for small businesses and nonprofits. Check out The Salt Collective, remainsalty.com. We appreciate it.
As we promised in our episodes, we are going to talk about your comments, because we decided that, hey, at the end of the month, we're going to kind of culminate all of the comments from Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts. Like, we're going to kind of compile those, go through all of those on the show and everything. And we have some good ones, actually.
We do have some
for
good
the
comments.
End of the month. So
one thing I want to do is like maybe for this comment section when we do it at the end of each month, I want to come up with like a jingle, but I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah,
and I can't sing for anything. So
same.
So maybe we'll get Brooke to make us a little jingle, and she can.
Too bad.
We'll include it.
Too bad AI hasn't incorporated like actual like sounds yet.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like, which we could, we could throw, because after our AI episode about the dead internet, like, I kind of have dove off the deep end as far as like AI stuff. Like, I'll be like, hey, give me a list of blah, 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 and give me a list of this.
Yep.
Like, we were doing interview questions for our group project at work.
Yeah.
And one of the girls was like, hey, she's like, I'm going to go and chat GPT. Literally came up with a question, and they're
good.
They're really good. Yeah. It's scary.
It's dangerously good.
And at this point, I'm accepting iRobot.
Yeah.
This is what we've done to ourselves. I'm just accepting it.
Did you send me the meme, or did you see the one the other day that was it's like a bunch of robots that are gathered around a normal human being. One of them has a gun like pointed at him, and the other one puts his hand on the first robot's shoulder, and he's like, no, this one said please and thank you every time he interacted with us, like talking about what we're doing in ChatGPT now. And I legit do that. Like, whenever I interact with it, I'm like, can you please tell me some things like this? And when it gets done, I'm like, thank you, that was very helpful. And it actually responds. They're always like, oh, you're very welcome, come back anytime, that kind of deal. And I'm like, I'm making friends with the AI. I'm just saying,
it's like you're talking to a Ouija board.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but no, I'm just like,
I think it's a little bit more tangible than a Ouija board.
All I'm saying is when the robot overlords start, I just want to be on the right side of things, and so I'm trying to make friends with them as I go along. So anyways, getting back to your comments.
So back to the comments that are not AI generated, I hope.
No.
So we wanted to come back, circle back around from episode 7 and 9. We kind of missed these ones from Spotify, so that's our bad.
Yeah, I'm going to take the hit for that one. I'm not even going to put that on Josh, because I was the one that was kind of looking at comments the last time that we did this, and I missed these two that come from, I think both of them are from Ty. One of them might be from Emily, his wife.
Yeah. So the first one goes back to our what animal would you fight for $1,000 per pound or whatever. Ty said he'd fight a capybara, which
I can kind of see it. I can
kind of see it because they are the big, slower animal.
Yeah, I think I would feel bad about punching a capybara.
Too.
They're so happy looking.
It'd be like fighting a squonk.
Yeah, they're so cute, man. Like, how are you like?
Right.
Ty, shame on you,
bro.
But
like,
I get it though for the money.
I do it for the money.
We get it. We're on your side, but shame on you. You know what I'm saying? Same thing.
Emily, on the next episode when we were talking about collecting things, I believe that's where this one came.
Yeah, because we talked about my tractor collection and your collection
of guitar pins. Yeah. Emily, or maybe Ty, said that Funkos are this generation's precious moments, and I cannot agree more.
That's 100% true.
It is 100% true. Like,
Funko Pops are this generation's precious moments.
I think as far as an adult, that is one of my biggest regrets of not buying something. Okay, so the first time I ever went into Sweets and Geeks, shout out Sweets and Geeks, we love you.
We love Sweets and Geeks.
I saw in their Funko section, they had a big Funko of Sweet Tooth.
Oh yeah,
it was the ice cream truck and Sweet Tooth standing outside of the ice cream truck.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was like $40, and I was like, I want to buy it. Like
40's that price point.
Yeah, where it's like it's that second guessing.
No.
The next time I went back there, it was $60.
Wow.
Then the third time I went back, it was gone. So that's like my biggest major regret of not purchasing something.
That's interesting.
Because like I usually have them on my desk. Like I'm a big Fallout player. So I have 2 of the Vault Boys. Right. I have the lock picking one, and I forget which other one I have. But I have that and then I have a Venomized Deadpool. So I
Okay.
have those 3 Funkos on my computer desk. So I completely agree, Emily, that Funkos are this generation's precious moments.
If I remember correctly, the only Funkos that we have in the house currently is I've got some Star Wars Funkos that people have given me over time, which I love. They said we have a Star Wars like shelf in the living room. It's primarily
The
Star Wars.
living room.
Yeah, we have a bunch of Star Wars Funkos, and then I know that Brooke has a Mr. Rogers Funko Pop. The only other one that I can recall right offhand, anyways, without like going and looking around the house, is I actually have a pocket Legolas Funko Pop.
Really?
Yeah, he's like maybe an inch tall. It was one that Brooke and Sky were somewhere, and they bought this. It's like a blind pack, but it was Lord of the Rings Funko Pop, like minifigs. And they bought one for me, and I opened it up, and it was Legolas. So I stuck it in my coat pocket. You've seen that kind of plaid coat that I wear.
Yeah.
I stuck it in the pocket of that coat, and he's been in there ever since. I jokingly say, like, anytime I get in trouble, I pull out my pocket Legolas, and he saves my life. So,
Episode 11, we had a lot of people agree that they do have inner dialogues and talk to themselves and ask and answer themselves. So Brooke and I, vindication.
I still think you're all a bunch of psychopaths, but that's okay. But yeah, there were tons of people. That's why we didn't specifically say any of the comments for that one as far as by name, because I mean it was like, I know that Gabe Ramsire, Lynette Francis, there was a bunch of different people that were friends of ours that commented back on that one and were like, yeah, I not only do I have an inner dialogue,
But it's a conversation.
yeah, but it's back and forth, which I was like, yeah, what a bunch of weirdos. But anyways.
And then from episode 12, extremely ironic thing happened with episode 12. So episode 12 was the Balloon Fest 86.
Yes. So yeah. We were talking about this earlier. It's so crazy how sometimes things.
And and just to
orchestrate.
clarify, this wasn't a comment that was made. It was a comment made to us directly at church.
Yes.
Right after we had talked about, like, so it was a week after, essentially.
So the story behind it is that this episode comes out of us talking about Balloon Fest in Cleveland. Like Josh told the whole story about Balloon Fest. We made a lot of fun of it. Just kind of the craziness of everything that went down with that. So that's, I forget what day it was, but there was a day that week though after
Saturday,
the episode
wasn't it?
came out. I think it was Friday maybe. Because I was home when Brooke came back from going. But anyways, Brooke, Lynette, like it turns out like a bunch of people that we knew were at Walmart when that happened. And so they were at Walmart and all of a sudden all the power goes out.
Just no power whatsoever.
Yeah, so like a bunch of things were running on backup power, but in general, like all the power goes out. So Brooke like she was able to check out because she used like the Walmart app or something like that and was able to do it anyways. So she got her stuff and left, but like all the other people that we know that were there weren't able to do that, which I thought was hilarious too.
That is funny.
Sorry, Lynette. But they, power goes out, they leave, go home. Come to find out, just about everything on that side of the highway. So Wadsworth is divided by 76, and everything on the north side of 76 the power was out.
Right. Well, even over, I think, like Target and that area,
Yeah.
some of that was, I don't think all of it was out.
Right.
But I think some of it was, I know, like, where I get my hair cut at, like, their salon was out.
Our south side of town, though, was fine. Like, we never lost power here and stuff. So we go to church on Sunday, and we hear the news of what caused the power outage.
So Lynette comes up to me and she's like, hey, did you hear what caused the power outage? I was like, no, because I mean, I don't live in Wadsworth.
Yeah, you live in Rittman, so you're like, what do you care about
And
it?
she's like, it was a Mylar balloon that went into I think it was the substation and like fried
did, yeah.
everything.
Yep.
And it was just, the timing of it was amazing.
It was perfect.
So
After
it's
we've
like,
just talked about the balloon fiasco
so
in
some
Cleveland.
kid let their balloon go, or it was tied to a mailbox or whatever.
knows, yeah.
And it floated up and it shut down at like half of a power grid, if not a whole power grid.
You got to imagine there was some mom that put that balloon out for her kid's birthday that morning, and it went missing. And she's like, not going to admit it to anybody.
Gosh,
but she's like, that was me.
Yeah,
like I
100%.
put down the power for half of a city. So I think it was hilarious, and the timing of it was just perfect in that sense. So that was our fun tie-in to episode 12 that week. Episode 13. My friend Charlie from our previous gym that we used to go to and stuff, he commented and he said, everyone should be on the metric system. It just makes way more sense. So why doesn't the U.S. just switch? Money. It's that simple. We would have to retool, change, relabel, re-educate, and rebrand so much that it isn't a real possibility. He said, that being said, freedom units rule.
Right. Well, and like you even said, like, I mean, it just goes to show you how much money dominates everyday life.
Oh, yeah. Money and time, man. This is
Yeah.
like the two resources that everybody wants more of in that sense. And that's like I said, when I was doing the studying on the metric versus imperial system, that was the only motivator like behind it. It was the companies in America basically said, we're just not going to switch because it would cost us too much.
If you think about it, those are the only two things that are common throughout the entire world is money and time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, granted, like, so you have your standardized, like, what is it, the Greenwich time or whatever is
Yep.
like the actual time.
Right.
And then you just go plus or minus whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And then money, I think everything revolves around a common currency.
Right.
So so this is
Like
based
the
off
US
the US dollar.
dollars, yeah,
you
pretty
know,
much
but everything else is like, oh, no, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way. But
Right.
those are the two things that don't change.
That's it. So, yeah, Charlie, we appreciate your comment on that one. Charlie has a lot of funny input on different things that we talk about and stuff, so we appreciate you being there for it. In episode 14, my friend Jordan, he's from, I think Jordan lives down in Charlotte area of North Carolina now, but he was in Southport when I was a youth pastor there. So, actually, little teaser, or not teaser, and now you guys have already heard
Post-teaser.
it. Previous episode, we did youth group stories. Jordan was there, at least he was present in the room when I choked out Kyle. So you guys have heard that story now. But Jordan commented talking about our comparison of all the different fast food restaurants in our bracket style tournament that we
Right.
did. And he said Burger King is by far the absolute bottom of the barrel when it comes to fast food. It's not even close. I would rather eat a used napkin, which strong language, but I can't say that I disagree with him.
I mean, see, I would almost argue the same as like what we said for Arby's. Like the sides, I think, are more prevalent at Burger King because like
Yeah.
right now they have jalapeno poppers
Okay.
that are pretty good.
See, I wasn't even aware of that. I don't ever go to Burger
So like
King.
every once in a while they'll have like a gimmicky side. Like the chicken fries aren't terrible if they're actually not over fried and things
Right.
like that. But a lot of things. But I don't disagree.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the perspective of there's nothing at Burger King that on a regular basis I either think about or that I long to go get, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like every other fast food restaurant has at least one thing that I'm like,
Right.
okay, I'll swing into McDonald's just to get fries and a sweet tea. I'll swing into Taco Bell to grab tacos because you just like the tacos and some Diablo sauce. There's different things at every other fast food restaurant.
Right.
There's like one thing that if I'm just craving it, I'll swing in there and get it. Burger King doesn't have that for me. There's nothing that I think
think
of.
the two things that I can remember going specifically there is they used to have the King Stackers,
Yeah.
which was just cheeseburger and bacon and sauce. Like
Right.
there's no frilly stuff on it. It was just
Yeah.
burger, cheese, and
Give me the things that
yes,
matter.
give me the heart attack on a bun. And then they used to do cereal milkshakes. I remember going there. They had like a Lucky Charms milkshake. It had like Lucky Charms pieces in it
yeah.
and stuff like that. Those are the only two things that I specifically would like. Man, I gotta
need
go
to keep
there.
more tabs on Burger King because I didn't even know these things existed.
I mean, this
so-
was, I would say this was like when I was in high school.
Oh,
So this
okay,
was
so-
like 20 years ago.
So maybe they just fell off and I don't need to pay attention.
Yeah, no.
Jordan, we appreciate that comment. We did have a lot of love and pity, like on
Right,
my
I think
team
it
for
was-
the squonk.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And like I said, everybody can see why that's probably one of my favorites. Because, I mean, it's a lovable little cryptid.
Yeah, I thought so. My heart went out to the squonk, and apparently everybody else's did too. when
Yeah,
they
so
were listening to it,
we'll see what next month has in store for the cryptid, so we can see if it compares to Squonk or not.
Yeah,
I think that was a pretty heavy hitter to start off with.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the Squonk really tied in. So next episode, you guys will be listening to another cryptid creature
Right.
that I'll be telling Josh about. So this one is not nearly as endearing. I'll say that much.
Okay.
In that same episode, in episode 14, we talked about things to abolish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people agreed, like the chewing.
Oh man,
I think it's called misophobia, the fear or the annoyance of
disdain for hearing people chew. Yeah,
tailgating.
my sister has that big time. She hates it.
Tailgating is another thing that is terrible.
So a lot of people talked about the driving thing. These are specifically from Lynette. She was the one that said like She wouldn't make sure I wanted to hurt someone. She said, tailgating me, the closer you get, the slower I go, which we both agreed.
Commented, like, I will pass a semi match speed with my rear bumper to his front bumper,
right,
and make you sit
so
there
you're
and
just
think about what you're doing.
Yeah, right, yeah. And I said, I'm typically like a big proponent for if you're in the fast lane, and somebody's coming up behind you, you need to get out of the way, right?
Exactly.
Except for there are times when, like, either I'm in the slow lane or there's circumstances, and somebody will come up and tailgate me, and if I don't have a choice, but they're tailgating me anyways, that's when I join y'all's team, and I'm like, okay, I'll sit here for the rest of our lives until you learn your lesson, type of thing. She also said, people who speed in school zones. That's a good one.
That's a very good one. Like, don't
do it. Don't speed in school zones. Don't pass school buses. Just protect the kids. It's not that hard.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like,
I'm a big proponent for this because we live in a neighborhood where we have a ton of kids that play out on our street and stuff like that. Like, so we have some friends of ours live right across the street. They have 2 kids. We have 3 kids that are next door to us. There's kids down like other parts of our street. They all get together. They all play and stuff. And we have cars that use our street as a cut around to get around the main drag in Wadsworth.
For the lights and the square.
They're just trying to skip stoplights and stuff. And I'm like, dude, number one, the 30 seconds that is saving you isn't making that big of a difference in your life.
Right.
But number 2, they come flying down our road because they're trying to use it as a cut through. And I'm like, you're endangering our kids' lives. And so there's been many times that I have stepped out in front of cars, like intentionally, and just made them stop. And I'm like, now you're losing time because you want to be an idiot.
Right.
So, like, if you want to drive on a road, that's fine. If you want to use it as a cut through, I don't really care all that much. Just obey the speed limit. Go 25 miles an hour, like it says on the sign, and we're all good. But yeah, like the speeding in school zones, speeding around, or passing school buses.
Just don't
do those things. Like,
be better.
It's simple. Yeah. And then
the smell of dirty hair.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever like even put the thought into it, but I'm with her.
Yeah.
Like, I think about, like, because my kid has a lot of hair and so does my wife and stuff, and they take really good care of their hair and stuff, so they usually smell pretty nice. But there's been times, the kid goes to a lock-in or whatever, and she comes home and it's like...
Well, don't get me started with the smell of a lock-in.
Well, that is a whole different animal for sure. But, yeah, so I kind of understand where you're coming from, Lynette, on that aspect.
Yeah. Tori, 10 out of 10 would abolish chewing with your mouth open and staring at people. So I would love to know the context.
I need to know more about that
because like we've made the comment, like, I hate eye contact, but you and I literally like stare at each other's eyes.
Yeah, we sit here and look at each other's soul the whole time we're talking.
But like, does she mean like just staring at people in general, like making eye contact? Or
I find it particularly funny. I've jokingly said it over the past, because Tori just went with us on a trip down to North Carolina to do some more relief work and stuff. And I always jokingly say that Tori is the mean younger sister that I deserve in my life. And because we go back and forth, we argue a lot and stuff, and it's very, but it's all in jest. Like, we do it humorously.
Right.
And the funny thing is that I feel like there's a lot of times that I just get these like mean glares from Tori.
Right.
And so for her to say that she is against staring at people when she's like giving me that look of like,
hi, Kettle, this is pot. Like,
yeah. So I don't know.
We'll have to get more clarification.
Yeah, we'll get some clarification from Tori on that one, and I'll let you guys know. I'll shout out real quick, just since we're talking about Tori, that Tori and my wife, they have a podcast.
Right.
They record right here in the same spot that we do. Matter of fact, they'll be recording right after us today.
Oh, okay.
But there's this called The Holy Chit Chat, and it is it's a podcast where they're reading through the Bible and just stopping and talking about things as they go along and stuff. And so I was going to plug them real quick since we were talking about them. And so if you're interested in that kind of thing, go check them out. It's The Holy Chit Chat. I have to make sure I slow down when I say that.
Right. Slightly more topical than ours, but
yeah, for sure.
And then the last one, I'll let you talk about this because this is a
yeah. So because that's like a personal story that came out of that same trip that I was just talking about. When we were on the way home from the trip to North Carolina this past week, we came home on a Saturday, so a week ago as of the time that we're recording this. We got to a certain point, and Tori is like, she's in the backseat of my truck. Brooke was in the front. Lynette was sitting in the back with her. And Tori's like, hey, got to use the bathroom. And so I radio over to the other truck that was with us. So Frank, our good friend, was driving his truck with a trailer. He had I'm sorry for Frank, but he had all the teenagers in the truck with him. And so I radio over to him, and I was like, hey, we need a bathroom break whenever we find a spot and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, I was looking for one because I was leading. And so we see a sign that's like, rest stop ahead or whatever. Right. When we get to the rest stop, so she's waited a while now for us to get to this rest stop. When we get to the rest stop is
closed.
Not just closed,
gone,
not existent anymore. It has been leveled. There's nothing there.
But no signage saying that it was not there.
The last couple ones leading up to it, but like when we had to make a decision of are we going to wait for the rest stops, there wasn't. Well, and so by this point in time, Tori's teeth are like floating. You know what I'm saying? Like she's really got to go.
Well, and I was going to say because I mean I imagine a lot of people from Ohio are listening to this. They have traveled down to North Carolina.
Yeah.
There is nothing.
No. And we're in the bins of West Virginia, so it's really nothing there.
So like, were you on the turnpike?
Yeah.
Oh, so it was like that middle rest stop that they've been redoing for like the last 5 years.
No, so that one's finished now.
Oh,
and
it is
really super nice. This was in the spots before that.
Oh, okay.
Where you're in the winding parts and there's nothing there.
So like right past Tamarack, like almost getting onto the turnpike from coming north.
So if you're coming north, it's right after you like everything merges. You get onto 77, and we're probably maybe 20 minutes, I think, into West Virginia.
Okay,
so
yeah, I know exactly.
You're in the mountains, and there's just nothing there and stuff. And so when we drove by, like my comment was like, "Oh, it's the most closed that it could be because there's literally nothing there." And so now Tori is to the point where she's like, she has to go. And unfortunately, we had to wait until we found like the next like stop that we found was still a ways ahead.
Right.
When we got there was a Sheetz and we pulled in and she like sprinted inside. It was hilarious because like by that point in time we're all dying laughing and making fun of Tori. She's laughing her head off, but trying to hold in all the pee that she's got to get out and stuff like that. And so we were just like the whole crew of us were just dying in my truck.
Like it's like one of those things where I start singing like "Don't go chasing."
Oh, I was
water.
like I was doing all the like every time we pass like a waterfall or rivers, I'm like, hey, look, water.
Kind of gently going over the rumble strips.
Yeah,
we're terrible.
I think we hit like a bump on like a bridge, and she's like, oh no. I'm like, dude, I swear if you pee on my truck seats, I'm gonna be so mad.
We kind of saved this one for last. We kind of I can't remember if this came in between the episode or maybe we missed it, but it was a message we got from one of our really good friends that we used to do youth work with.
Yeah,
Tyler Bush. We kind of wanted to end with this one because we figured it would be a very good talking point and a very good discussion. So he said, I'm rewatching The Lord of the Rings. Which fantasy/sci-fi series is the best? He gave Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter, or other. So I'll let you kick this one off because I have thoughts.
Man, I have a lot of thoughts. That's the unfortunate side of this one is because you know that I am a massive Lord of the Rings and Star Wars fan.
So I figured that this would be a good question.
And then both of my girls, my wife and my kid, have read all the Harry Potter books. We have been to Harry Potter World.
Right.
Like we've done all the Harry Potter stuff.
The Harry Potter thing.
And so I like understand and appreciate Harry Potter as well. I would also throw in the Narnia series.
Oh yeah,
with
for sure.
This,
which is the movies did such a disservice to those books, but
yeah, I would agree with that.
It's one of the very few book series that I've actually read.
Right.
Like actually like physically read, not like listened to.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know that I could like necessarily give it to just one series. I think if I was going to give you just my right off the bat reaction, I believe that I would say that The Lord of the Rings takes the cake for best series, like best world, best series, all of it together. And the biggest reasons for me is I just think that there was more motivation behind writing it because Tolkien had the Christian tie-in,
right? That whole allegory of the ring,
because him and Lewis at the same time were these two like Christian guys who were trying to write fantasy stuff, but using the underlying tale of good versus evil, God and creation, and all that kind of stuff involved in it.
Which is crazy because Lewis was a staunch atheist
Oh yeah,
to start off his life. But that's another story that I would love to go into.
If you've never read like Mere Christianity from Lewis,
Screwtape Letters, like
so many good things he produced. Yeah, on top of that, it's world building, it's language building. It is. I mean, you take all the different aspects of the Lord of the Rings stuff into consideration.
Right.
I'm actually getting ready to. I'm reading the Thrawn series. I started the Thrawn books. When I wrap up the first Thrawn book, I'm going to the Silmarillion to try to read through it for the first time.
Okay.
Pray for me. But when you think about the Silmarillion, and Tolkien gave you history.
Right. Oh yeah, and
that's beyond what anybody needs to give for a book like The Lord of the Rings.
He created his own lore for his own world. And it's not like, so I'm in 100% agreement with you.
Okay.
I love Star Wars, but I'm
a massive Star Wars fan, and I love the Star Wars universe that it exists in.
I love the Star Wars universe apart from the movies.
Well, yeah, apart from the last 3 movies.
Well, here's my 2 cents. If you take out it's the whole mommy daddy issues of the Skywalkers and everything.
Sure.
If you take everything before that and then after, it's such a great story, and that's kind of what puts everybody off about Star Wars sometimes, is that like conflict of it's not good and evil. It's really not. It's I was slighted by somebody. We're going to start a war.
Well, and as time has gone on with the Star Wars universe too, there's been a lot of blurring of lines of what is good and what is evil and all that kind of stuff. Like, because you start getting into the pictures of like gray Jedi and all that kind of stuff. So I know we're like super nerding out right now as far as a lot of you are concerned.
Deal with it.
But that's, like when they started blurring the lines of what is good, what is evil, when they started in the movies, like you said, I one of the things that you guys know my feelings on Rey and all the stuff that surrounded her. It's like, when they started just throwing things out the window, like the need for Jedi training and training in the Force and all that kind of stuff, they threw a lot of things away from me. But beyond that, I mean, because I'm with you, like the Old Republic stuff, a lot of the ancient Sith,
like that stuff is
fascinating. And it's so good.
It draws me in the same way that the entirety of the Lord of the Rings draws me in.
Right. That's what I was going to say is you're talking about. There's little blips, little aspects of the Star Wars universe that really captivates me, whereas every ounce of
the Lord of the Rings,
like that Tolkien universe, like really just kind of captures.
But I mean, if you think about it, and I think that's what draws us so much to like the Silmarillion and all of the Rings of Power and those kind of things, is the fact that like with the Legend series and Knights of the Old Republic, all of that is telling that lore that you never get in the main story.
Yep.
But with Tolkien, that's a part of the story.
Right.
All of this stuff was non-canon that the Star Wars people said, "Oh, I guess we're going to let this in now."
Yeah.
So it was other people adding to Lucas's story.
And I think that's part of the downfall of Star Wars as far as the availability of it being the best series out there. Part of the way it falls apart is that you just got too many hands in the pot, right?
Oh yeah,
like there's
for
just
sure.
Too many people are giving input, and they're taking too much from too many to try to piece together something.
Right.
Whereas with Tolkien's universe, it was this guy had an entire universe in his mind.
Right.
And he put it on paper for us. And you get to read every ounce of it, so you know where everything came from, what were the motivators behind everything. You get to see the whole story laid out. And that's what I love about Tolkien's universe. So
yes,
cool.
so I think we are both in agreement that Lord of the Rings is the best fantasy series.
So put it in stone, the official answer to the best fantasy series ever, Lord of the Rings.
And I think that's another reason why we love playing D&D.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would agree with that.
Speaking of which, tomorrow.
Yeah, we get to start a campain tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
I don't have to come up with stuff for once.
Yeah, we just get to be
chaos.
Menaces. Yeah, which is gonna be great. For all of you guys out there that are listening, we're so grateful for you guys. We appreciate your comments. We hope that you'll take the time right now to either go on to Spotify or one of our social media pages, leave us comments. We also had, I forgot to mention this one, we had a review that came in, a new one. So I don't know who this is from because it just says do the E as the name. But their review on Apple Podcasts was so much fun. This podcast makes Monday mornings less Monday-ish. These guys are hilarious and entertaining. I really enjoy listening to them as I run errands, definitely recommend everyone to add them to their list of podcasts to listen to.
We greatly appreciate that.
That's awesome. And that is number 17
Really?
of 5-star reviews
That's
that we have
amazing.
received.
We appreciate it.
And no
Like-
other ones outside of that. So that's great. We really appreciate the input on that one. But like I said, if you can take the time right now to go leave us a comment, leave us a review, like we always jokingly say and kind of seriously say, leave us a 5-star review, but leave us comments with it. If you got critiques, leave them in a 5-star review, and we will read them and take them to heart, I promise you, and kind of try to do what we can to make them part of the show. But otherwise, we just want you guys to give us your feedback, give us your information and stuff so we can use it on the show as well. And anything else you want the people to do?
Hey, just like Josh said, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But hey, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And
You guys rock.
If there's anything you want us to talk about, whether it be cryptids, whether it be about crazy ideas, that's where we got the mantis shrimp from. That's where we got the bear versus gorilla from.
Yeah.
You
guys
let us
have been the leaders in a lot of the topics we've talked about on here and stuff.
So yeah, if you have an idea, like I said before, we like to do the research for it because we will probably find it interesting too.
Absolutely.
So give us some ideas. Tune in next week when we start our next month of our cryptids.
Yeah, that's right. Cryptid of the month, next episode. So other than that, we love you guys very much. We hope you have a great week this week, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.
How do you
Is
use that?
cheesecake a cake?
That's a good question. I say no.
It's not.
All right, we solved it then. Moving right along.
I hate cheesecake.
What?
Tapioca pudding, though.
I'm my own editing nightmare is the problem.